Did you find you were saying that, you were managing when you were 19 years old and 20 years old. So, did you ever face a situation wherein the team you were managing were on the higher side of the age compared to you?
Yes, I've had that a few times. I've had that a few times. So when I became the youngest bank manager for the UK, I was 21 years old, and it was for a branch in Tame in Oxfordshire.
Okay.
And the oldest member of my team at that point was 61 or 62. And if you imagine, I was going in there at 21 years old, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So it was a very established branch. This gentleman had been there for a really long time. Everybody else there as well was older than me. Okay, so I was there as a 21-year-old. I'd had about, I think it was 6 or 7 members in my team, and even the assistant manager. So my number 2 was in her 40s, and then like I said, the oldest member of staff there was 61 or 62. So you can imagine when you go in and you're the branch manager, your number 2, like I said, is in her 40s. First thing there is, even the assistant manager is wondering, okay, I'm older than this person. Why was I not considered for this role? So that was already me going in. My number 2 is also already not in like huge amounts of support for
Yeah,
me, right?
yeah.
Because she's thinking I've been doing this role. Like natural progression for her is to step into that role.
True.
Luckily, I won her over within the first couple of days, right? Within the first couple of days, because and it was as simple as me being able to sort of handle this really tough client that had come in, and he'd actually reduced her down to tears, right? She was dealing with this complaint, and she just burst into tears, and she couldn't deal with it, right? So then she had to call me in, and when she called me in, I literally had her sit in with that appointment with me. And so she got to see how I handled, the entire discussion, and how the client actually left even feeling happy, right? So that for her was that, like, I think it was in my second day into the role, and she literally, came in with a bouquet of flowers and a hot cup of coffee, and said, I have to
Oh,
apologize to you because I
super.
totally, yeah, she said, I totally misjudged you, and actually I want to you're such a role model for me, and I want to mentor off you, and I also want to become a branch manager one day. So will you take on that role to like help me get there? And obviously I said absolutely yes, right? Because
Wow.
that's what I want to do. As a manager, I feel, or as a leader, you want to actually inspire your other teammates, right? You don't want to hold people back and think, oh, I just want to lead, and everybody's going to follow.
Yeah.
Ultimately, or at least for me, my thinking is always I want to lead people, and I want to inspire them to also be their best, right? I
Yeah.
want to inspire them to also become leaders if that's what they want for themselves, or create whatever path it is that you want, plan it out and actually work towards it, but have a structure in place and really support them and encourage them on their own individual journey.
Yeah.
And so that was her as like a 40-something-year-old. My 60-something-old gentleman was a much tougher cookie to crack, right? Because he was just resistance all the time. And I got into banking at a time where they were sort of changing their culture to be more sales focused as opposed to customer service focused. So suddenly banks were going through this transition where we were seen more as retail outlets. It was more about making the sale. Like everybody that comes in, it's not just about, providing excellent customer service. It's about, okay, how many products can we sell to that person? How much savings can we get them to invest? How many mutual funds can we put them into? Or, like what else can we do to get business out of them? And so this gentleman, I mean, he was from that baby boomer generation, right? So it was very, very different for him and what he'd been exposed to being in the bank for like 40 odd years. And so when I came in and I'm all like gun ho about sales and being proactive and talking to clients, he just thought, who are you? Right.
Yeah.
And you can understand it from his perspective. He was like, what is this? Like, we've got this 20 something all coming in. She's, and trying to take over and change everything up. So with him, it was really a case of like, sitting down with him, trying to understand his style, trying to understand what his objectives are. He really only had like 3, 4 years left in the bank. And so didn't want to get into sales. All he cared about was just, this the pension at the end, and just, not selling to anybody, just providing good customer service. But it did take him a little bit longer for him to come around. But I won him over as well, just with literally trying to understand what his objectives were and look at his strengths, and actually um, gently teach him how to sell in a very natural um, way that actually suited his own style. Right, so
Hmm.
really took his strengths and actually um, made a big deal out of that to even the rest of the branch and even other people in our region. So he was fantastic at customer service. And what I did was, and this was specifically for him, I nominated him for actually a national award for customer service, and he
Wow.
actually won,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And so he won it, and he loved wine. He was a gentleman who absolutely loved wine. So his prize was that he was able to choose 12 barrels, or 12 crates actually, of of wine, all with 12 bottles each. So you can imagine this gentleman ended up as a reward for himself, and being recognized, was got this beautiful, like, these beautiful crates full of red and white wine, which he absolutely loved. But the point of the story was, it was the fact that I even was able to win him around by actually just recognizing his own strengths and letting him embrace what his own personal journey was going to be for his career, and not feeling like, oh, I've got 3 years left, I just have to be here day in, day out, let's just live it out. It was actually, let you feel fulfilled even for the 3 years that you have left, and let's recognize everything that you've worked for, to the point that actually when he won that award, and when he even found out he was nominated for the award, he came into my office and he said, "Can I sit down and have a drink, have a coffee with you?" And I said, "Absolutely." And even this gentleman, he said, "In 40 years that I've worked here, I've never been recognized for something like this, because I always thought that the leaders and managers were worried about themselves and their targets. But
Hmm.
you've recognized me." And he started crying, right? And
Oh,
this is and he was such a tough man, okay?
yeah.
So for him to like come in and start, like, actually start crying, and we both cried. I actually started crying too, because it was just, it was, very, very tough dealing with him, because I was wondering, how am I going to break this gentleman down, right?
Yeah.
How do I break him down to just let him give me a chance? I just
Yeah.
want him to give me a chance to see that I'm, being an inclusive leader, or being a Gen Y leader, doesn't mean that I'm all like, rah rah about other things, and I'm trying to push you into another direction. I'm trying to respect everything that, you stand for, and I'm trying to include you and take into account your opinions, your beliefs, your way of doing things. Let's just find a way around it. But to
Hmm.
even have that conversation was really hard initially.
Yeah.
Really hard.